Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of our video series titled Inside Innovation. I'm Bob Reiter, Head of R&D for Crop Science, and in this episode, I have the privilege of being joined by Frank Terhorst, our Executive Vice President of Strategy and Sustainability for Crop Science. So in the next few minutes, we're going to dive a bit deeper into how we're thinking about our research pipeline, the future of Bayer innovation, and what we consider to be some of the most breakthrough projects that will deliver to farmers great value in the next few years. Just last June, Frank, you and I were on the stage together in New York City discussing the future of our market and our investment in R&D. And we set an ambitious target of doubling our accessible markets. What exactly does that mean, and how have we tracked against that this past year?
Yeah, hello also from my side. And indeed, we talked about actually the advancements of our market that we are operating in, from the 100 plus input market for crop protection and seeds and traits, and how transformation of agriculture and digital, but also biological breakthroughs actually increase this market significantly for us in what we call adjacent spaces. And in the meantime, we actually have seen a lot of progress, for instance, in the carbon segment, where the greater ability to measure the carbon sequestration and regenerative effects of certain practices like cover cropping and reduced tillage is unlocking farmers' ability to participate and get value in a growing carbon market. Or advancements in precision application, which actually also we have showcased on one important fair in Germany last year with our latest digital products. So additionally, there is also massive potential for biologically derived products to expand in the next decade. And we've leaning heavily on partnerships like the one we have with Ginkgo Bioworks to deliver completely new concepts in crop protection. And then there is the potential for covercress as well, where I know, Bob, you spent some time and attention lately.
That's right. And covercress has some incredible potential to be a game-changing technology. And again, back to one of the earlier conversations we had for this video series, it's a completely new kind of product that will combine genome editing, our digital platforms, and agronomic expertise to drive some huge behavioral changes and a brand new revenue stream for our farmers over the winter. Just briefly, to round out this aspect of market expansion into digital and platform realms, we're working up and down the value chain, from marketplaces like Orbia that face farmers to our partnership with Microsoft that delivers to the food value chain solutions that help them. And then finally, we continue to expand on our field use software in many new ways.
So what we also highlight in this video, our industry-leading $2.6 billion annual investments in R&D. Since June last year, we've begun to talk frequently about a transformation in how we operate in Bayer, which we are calling DSO, or Dynamic Shared Ownership. What do you think this means actually for our ability to deliver on our crop science pipeline?
Yeah, I think it's super important. And the fact of the matter is that it's about speed. Bill Anderson has spoken at great length about the concepts behind dynamic shared ownership and how it creates a more empowered approach for our employees, how we need to think differently about owning a career, and how we collaborate together with the customer top of mind. But, innovation, Frank, it starts with the individual. There are a lot of historic blockbusters that I can easily name that were championed at the individual level, and where the hard daily work of discovery is just how it happens to take place. Even if I look back and think about back in the 70s when glyphosate's activity was first discovered, and then a few years later when my predecessor and his team developed the first transgenic crops, these were concepts from business and farmer value wish lists. But like any game-changing innovation, discoveries came from below. They came from the scientists, not from above. And I'm all for environments that empower our scientists to do the very best they can. which is to deliver great ideas and ultimately put them into hands of farmers. Now, maybe here's a question for you. How should we be thinking about these separate categories of innovation as they relate to a more intensive system approach and to regenerative ag?
Yeah, indeed. For the sake of understanding the potential of each of these categories, we present them separately. And of course, they are used differently also in different places in the world. But in reality, it is that these categories for farmers will be increasingly in an agronomic system approach that optimizes rather than maximizes their use. And of course, also taking into account our approach to regenerative agriculture, carbon sequestration, soil health, and in generally reducing emissions. When farmers make operational decisions, they are focusing on meeting the problems that they have on their operations. They are not focused on buying individual products. They are focused on finding the complex interplay of options and the right balance that work best for them and their particular challenges. This is a big shift from the ways things used to be done. Thinking in terms of solutions really puts farmers at the center and has the potential to reduce expenses while maintaining or even increasing crop productivity. So, last question to you, Bob. We've begun to talk about this concept of 10 blockbusters in the next 10 years. Can you say more about what this means?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you're saying regarding systems of solutions, we often think about these individual blockbuster projects as sort of individual pieces of technology. And yet the reality is they are important, and it's an easy way to talk about them that way financially. But for a farmer, I think what we really want to think about is how they come together in terms of a portfolio and ultimately together as a solution. And that's the way we need to think about them going forward, is not just individual pieces, but something that's interconnected. And so if I frame up the 10 blockbusters within the next 10 years, they really do help to emphasize the size and scope of the massive pipeline that we have coming for our growers. But there's a lot more about that than just the 10 blockbusters. First of all, first they're launching in the next decade, and we're talking about a few of them that are really important in this next decade. Our Plenexos insecticide, our new herbicide that it's the first new mode of action in the last 30 years, our new billion-dollar fungicide molecule that's going to be hugely important for growers around the world. And then, of course, finally, our Preceon Smart Corn system, which alongside key traits that will be part of that system, they're going to help to ensure that our growers have excellent weed control and excellent control against insect pests in the future. Frank, I'm incredibly proud of the work that our teams are doing to ensure that we have a really robust pipeline that's delivering value to farmers, and it's delivering it to farmers around the world.
Yeah, and maybe one final note on our overall approach to regenerative agriculture, which we also began discussing at last year's event. I really liked one thing you said in New York, which was that if a project doesn't align with our approach to regenerative agriculture, we won't move forward. This really reinforces how connected each project within our pipeline is to our central vision for regenerative ag.
Yeah, right. I mean, I see it as two things. It's investing in our pipeline, is investing in a regenerative agriculture future. Now, that's the first point. But it's also investing in a pipeline that takes us back to what we talked about at the start of this discussion, which is it not only comprises a traditional pipeline, but it complements our pipeline with needed tools and pathways that really combines the need to manage between regenerative needs and the productivity needs that we have on the farm.
Thanks, Bob. That wraps up our conversation for today, I think. It's been a real pleasure looking back at our event from New York City last year and seeing how some of our thinking has evolved. If you haven't yet caught any of our previous Inside Innovation conversations between Bob, Head of Digital Farming Jeremy Williams, our CIO Amanda McLaren, catch the previous chats on our YouTube channel. Thanks everyone for listening.